You're listening to Wealth at Work, a show designed to help advisors think, make decisions, and cast a vision to create a business for the future. Hosted by financial planner, author, speaker, and CEO of Advisor2X, Ross Marino.
Welcome to the Wealth at Work show. Today, I am joined by two friends, Dee and Jeff. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ross.
Let's start off with 30 seconds. If you guys could just introduce yourselves. Dee, why don't you start?
I'm Deane Mayerhofer. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Strategic Retirement Partners, and my responsibilities from a day-to-day. I work with executing on the strategies that we are doing as a company and lead the people in our organization.
All right,
and
Jeff.
I'm Jeff Cullen, the CEO and CFO of Strategic Retirement Partners. And in addition to those responsibilities, I'm also an advisor and have a nice, healthy book as well, which kind of keeps me grounded in everything that advisors are seeing and concerned about.
Well, your firm is SRP. I was fortunate to be around during some of the early days, not quite as early as when you guys actually started. And I know there was a time when you were meeting and you thought, you know what, we're going to do this. We have to create a company. We have to do something. So I would love to hear that story of kind of what led up to that point where you thought we need to do this and start something. So Jeff, how about we start with you for that?
Yeah. So I started my practice in 2001, was a one-person shop, realized that I needed more resources. Sometime around 2003-ish, I met my first partner, and he had a couple of staff people, and I was kind of the junior advisor in the office, and he was a pretty well-known certified financial planner in our area. And then I realized in about 2006 that I needed more, that my dreams were really big as far as what I wanted to do, and that he was very content in his local practice and just keeping things small. So I felt kind of held back. And so I got a gift in 2007, an email from principal saying, Deane Mayerhofer has been terminated from her place of employment. So I called her up because she was a client. And, asked her to look at my situation and for her to give me her thoughts. And we were in agreement and we were off and going. I extracted myself from that other firm, and it was just her and I from there on out.
All right, Dee. Now, probably a little different story from your end.
It was. So when my position was eliminated, it was interesting because Jeff was the advisor I ran a TPA record keeper in the 401A space. And he was in his 20s. I was in my 30s then, probably the most brilliant person I'd ever met. And felt when he called me, it kind of went like, how would you like to we each take a 75% pay cut. We do something that nobody's ever seen before. And my background is in corporate administration, board governance, and Jeff being the visionary, I thought we can do this. We had to sell our family, right? Our spouses on doing this, but that's really how we came to be working locally and then pre-start of Strategic Retirement Partners.
Yeah, it's amazing how things can change so quickly. And really I know lots of visionaries in our business. I have the same impression of Jeff when I met him. I thought, yeah, he gets the business. And I remember explaining that to our team. And maybe 2015, I think, is when we actually met. There's a lot of advisors that are good at what they do and they love it. But then you meet some people that I wonder how long they'll actually be an advisor because they're just looking and seeing things a little differently than the average advisor. So watching everything blow up was in a wonderful way, pretty cool. And seeing you guys build and grow year after year. And then all of a sudden, one day you just see a picture on social media and you think, how many people are in this picture? Like it was just Dee and Jeff. I don't know how long ago. And it's a huge picture where you can't even see people's faces because it's the sideways picture. You probably know the picture I'm talking about. And right. It's exciting to get to that point and to see all that. Never a straight line. It's never as smooth as you hope. So how about we start, Jeff, maybe with some of the early challenges or concerns you had when you just started building and you thought, this part might be a little hard.
Yeah. So the way we've always approached things is starting off with, you've got the long term of what you want to be in the long term. And that vision requires, one way of thinking, but then you have the short-term steps that you need to achieve in order to get there. And our dreams were very big from the get-go. So it's eating an elephant. So it's just, it's one bite at a time. I mean, you can't get ahead of yourself. And so then with every decision you make, and I'll relate it to technology, right? With every decision you make, it's, do I want to rent it? Do I want to own it? Or do I want to build it? And with every decision you make along the way, if you don't make the right decision for the long run, you could be in trouble, but you have to balance the short term because building things is really expensive. And so it's this constant iterative process of trying to become what you want to be when you grow up. And so we made decisions early on that a lot of people questioned us on, and those rent, build, buy decisions and those types of things. And but now they're paying off for us in terms of automation, valuation, efficiencies, and all those things. But it's a huge commitment, and really requires that you get the right people on board.
Yeah, and I think I remember our conversation. It was probably 2017. I'll try not to do the remember when, but you gave me the rent it, build it, buy it conversation. And I have since used that in our companies multiple times, that these are the three options. I thought that was just such an easy way to frame it, of these are three ways to approach it, all have pluses and minuses, and then trying to think through that. It's great to talk concepts. I'm good at that. So is Jeff. But Dee, you actually got to get into the details and make, I think, much harder decisions sometimes. So what were some of the early challenges for you?
Yeah. So how I explained it, what Jeff does as a CEO, he looks up and out, right? He's looking downfield. Mm-hmm. As a COO, I'm looking down and in. And SRP, very different than others in our industry, was built on an operational chassis where our secret sauce was to free up advisors to do the three things they're good at, right? Growing their practice, servicing their practice, spending times with centers of influence. Well, to do that, we needed a team around us and in SRP to support that. So for me, the hardest thing is Jeff and I made a very intentional decision to be disruptors in the common way of thinking, not just in how we run our company, but who we hire and how we hire. So I talked about this in the past in different groups of, we see people fishing in the same ponds for talent, from record keepers to TPAs. And we did just the opposite. We looked for individuals who were outside of financial services industry, but were talented and wanted to be given a chance. We looked for interns. We have a lot of interns that work at SRP that we could grow our own. We looked at individuals who frankly didn't have college degrees, but not all positions need them. And if we could build something by thinking differently, finding different talent, and go forward from there and then promote from within, we thought we had something special. And that's truly what we did, which ties to, Ross, why SRP wins awards like Best Places to Work repetitively and Plan Advisor of the Year for mentorship. That isn't about Jeff and Dee. That is about everybody in this company doing something that hasn't been seen before in our industry.
Well, the formula definitely works. And Jeff, you have your practice, so you're splitting up your time. And I often joke that I do that as well, but I'm not particularly impressed with myself. I don't think I do it that well. It is always a challenge to figure out how to block and manage different entities. So, how do you do that? Has that been a long growth process? Is it something you're still struggling with? How do you approach that?
Yeah. I mean, along the way, what was it? We hired Dave, brought Dave in, I want to say around 2012, 2013, knowing that if we were going to do what we were going to do, that I was going to need somebody to really replace me in many ways. And Dave is, brilliant when it comes to the investment side of things. Over the years, he's become, equally good on the plan design side and other areas. And so it's just replacing yourself, right? It's just replacing a lot of those tasks that soak up the time, while not taking away the relationships, because that's the part that I enjoy, right? So it's the tasks I have to get rid of because I have to focus my time on my CEO and CFO responsibilities. But the relationships I don't want to give up because these are people that have been my friends. I mean, they're not just clients. I mean, they've, after 20 years of doing this, it becomes a lot more than a client relationship, that there's a trust and dare I say love there that is irreplaceable. So I still enjoy that part of the business, but the work is being done by other folks who are incredibly competent, who have been with me and learned the way I think, and then brought their own knowledge and expertise to the table as well. So it's actually easier than you might think.
That is wonderful.
And then beyond that, Ross, I've become really, really good at doing what I'm told. So when they tell me to show up someplace and I have to be here, be there, or do this or do that because something needs to get done, I do what I'm told when it comes, to the practice.
Yeah, and that's probably more important than a lot of people may realize up front. What you're basically doing is taking away the time and energy it takes to make certain decisions. You have people who know what needs to be done and they know you need to do it. And I get that internally as well when someone will come up and say, no, this is a meeting you have to do. And early on, I may have questioned it, but you just have to know that, okay, if someone told us that, much more efficient, sign of having a great team. I'm looking forward to the session to hear everything that you guys are going to talk about. Dee, can you give us maybe a little heads up on what you guys are going to do at the session?
Yeah. So I said this to Jeff a few days ago. For us, we are super excited about this. We've never done a fireside chat before, to share how SRP was built without outside capital, how we found talented individuals, advisors to join SRP, how we did it, as I said, without capital, and doing all that by reinvesting, and really some of our successes that we've had along the way, some of our aha moments of, that didn't go exactly like we thought it would, and where we are looking and hopefully encourage others to do similar in their practices.
Well, that's going to be neat. I'd imagine it's going to be standing room only. There's going to be a lot of questions. And after the session, I think some people are going to be following you guys around. Dee, Jeff, great to see you on the show. Look forward to seeing you in October at Wealth at Work.
Thanks,
Look forward to seeing you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you for listening to Wealth at Work. The information covered and posted represents the views of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Advisor 2X. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.